Hey, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Yes, you may notice it is just me at the moment, but I've got Lady McDriverson. That's the latest name of my lovely co host, our lovely host. I'm the co host. I guess he's the host. But Jesse is on his way back. He should be here momentarily. But I didn't want to start late, so I'm starting the show. So, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. This is the show where we welcome everybody. We talk about everything. And yeah, you guys know how it is. Welcome to our regular viewers. What's up, Taylor? What's up, Courtney? What's up, Ninja? What's up, Angela? I see all you guys out there, and welcome. Love your hair. Oh yeah, you know what? I usually don't wear my hair down. I'm wearing it down today, so it's you guys get to see my lovely locks. So it's been a crazy week for me. I have been setting up this Halloween experience at Tied In Media. I don't know if any of you guys who are following me on any social media have seen some of the cool stuff happening there. We have like all of these crazy animatronics set up. We have like this evil circus room, and we have this kitchen slaughterhouse set up. It's Halloween season, so uh, I know nobody's on Long Island. Maybe if you're on Long Island or you want to come down to Long Island, come and visit us. I see Lady McDriverson popping up in the back room, but I don't see him there, so I'm just going to wait until I see his face. Um, I will talk about our guest. Oh, my birthday's coming up, and your birthday's coming up. That's right, Angela, and your birthday. And what's up, Taylor? Thank you for loving my hair. I appreciate that. I am trying to manage a bunch of things right now. I'm looking at all the comments. I'm waiting for my host, and I wanted to talk about our guest, who is a good friend of mine, somebody who I haven't seen in many, many years, and popped up onto my radar. The live stream of consciousness has a way of doing that, doesn't it? It seems to put things into my path, and it's been kind of guiding the way things have been going. So I'll talk about that in a minute because I want to figure out what's going on with Lady McDriverstein. Let's see what's up with Lady McDriverstein. Nothing looks like nothing's up. I see a little preview on the thing down there, but I don't see him coming up. So let's take him away. So how's everybody doing? Give me some feedback while we are waiting. Some comments about the live stream of consciousness. I'm kind of at a weird loss for words here because I didn't expect to have to do this on my own. So, all right, I'm going to talk to about my guest. Oh, I see Jesse popping in there to the room. He's orienting the camera. I see it's like spinning around and all this stuff is happening. Um, but and then I know once I get him on, I'm not going to be able to get a word out. So my guest today is an amazing artist who I met back in the years that I was working for World Famous Tattooing. I was mostly in charge of doing the graphics for the tattoo conventions that they were having, and I met some really amazing tattoo artists and really got kind of immersed into the whole world of tattooing, which I wasn't really familiar with before, and it was amazing to me to see the art form that tattooing had become. There were some artists that were just so ridiculously phenomenal as tattoo artists and as regular artists. And I was thinking today about how being a tattoo artist is really something significant and different than being a regular artist, because not only are you doing your artwork, but you are committing that onto somebody else's body. And what's really cool about that, and I don't even know if this is a factor, but man, you have to have some confidence to in your artwork to start drawing on someone else's body and just not even worry about making a mistake or anything, because you just know it's going to be right. So there's this respect that I have for tattoo artists that's just kind of unspoken. But um, Jason, who is our guest, Jason Ackerman, um, he was just always a great personality as well. He was just like a fun guy to be around. And I had no idea at the time. I don't think I had advanced in my own spirituality, but I had no idea that he was struggling too. And recently I saw some of his artwork, and it was very indicative of a nice transformation. There was some subject matter in there that was pretty obvious, and you'll see that as we look at it. um, but I'm excited to talk to him because not only is he a great artist, but he's a great conversationalist, has a lot of amazing things to say. And we started talking about some of his stories with Mother Ayahuasca, and you guys are going to be excited about that. But I see my wonderful co-host. There he is, Lady McDriverstein. What is up, Lady? There he is. He's on his phone because it's not
Oh,
sideways.
I'm on the I'm late Steam on my computer.
Oh,
Can you
and
switch
look,
me?
There we go.
we've got
I'm
two of
double
you.
trouble now.
I had you on your phone, and I had you on your computer. How you
Forgive
doing,
me.
buddy?
I'm doing all right. I have had like legit the worst week of my life. One of the
Yeah,
worst
you were
weeks
saying.
of my life. Uh, I had what is a complication for some with the wisdom teeth, and was a complication for me. It's called dry socket,
Oof.
and you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to turn myself off the other guy
That
here.
sounds very unsexual.
Yeah, it's not good,
Not
and
sexy.
it's it basically like your blood doesn't clot in the area where it's supposed to heal, and it
Oh,
doesn't properly like cover up, and it's really really painful. And I had that going on over the weekend, and I went in to the doctor like with like this pain, and he was just more concerned about the fact that I was still bleeding the next day, and I got like the bleeding under control, but he didn't do anything about the pain. And the pain medicine he gave me wasn't helping because I had the dry socket going on. And then on Monday, I saw one of his partner doctors who gave me a different pain medicine, and I think it like drove me insane. I literally had a night of sleeping where I didn't sleep. I didn't think I slept, even though Julie told me that she heard me snoring a couple times. But I was up like every 2 seconds, and I would literally close my eyes, and I'd be in this like loop of this video game I've been playing. I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was like doing everything in the game, but it was like a loop based on the pain I was experiencing in my
wow.
mouth. And my wisdom teeth, the whole problem with them and like the overcrowding that I've had is that they were pressing up against my nerves. And the nerves run to like the front of your face and they stop here. And then on the other side, kind of like they kind of grab you and then they same thing. And so I had this resonating pain down my face, and I would sort of feel it like I did it, like, and it would swell, and then it would kind of like move back, and then it would swell, and it would move back, and I was just in a loop of experiencing this pain over and over again. I was like, this is the type of stuff where
Man,
you
I'm
think somebody
sorry.
took some drugs, went crazy, and killed themselves. Like,
Wow.
I could not believe how much
How
discomfort
are
I
you
was.
doing now? Are you all right now? Because that sounds horrible.
I'm a lot better because I'm off the pain medicines, but I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be late. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad when I'm late for this. You know, it's 9 o'clock by Michael. It's 6 o'clock by me. So this is like end of like my workday thing, and this was one of my first days kind of back on my feet, being able to drive around. And I thought I gave myself plenty of time, and I got
What
stuck
you
in
did.
traffic. I was supposed to jump at the Rite Aid so I could get some stuff to help my mouth too, so I wouldn't be so uncomfortable right now. Which I definitely am a little uncomfortable. So forgive me if I'm a little on edge. But life is good. Otherwise, everything's really great. As I said, you know, I'm not going to give too much away, but I'm working with a band that was sort of already like in existence that I kind of just met and stole, and
Sweet.
we're putting together this great, you know, just this great set list and original songs and all this stuff, and it's
Awesome.
really going awesome. So granted, my brain is recovering from being on all these drugs, so every time like I get sent something like, hey, I want to mash up this song and that song, I'm like, okay, all right, let me wrap my head around it. So I'm definitely like reeling from being all drugged up for a little while, but I'm
Right.
finally
Well, I'm
really.
excited. I'm excited to see you happy about a musical project. I've been telling you since we've been hanging out. I like that's where you should be
You know, I'm so excited, and you know, and I guess this is the spiritual thing that I wanted to say about this. You know, that I said I would say last week. You know, I didn't. A good original idea is a good original idea, and the reason why it hasn't been thought of before is because you are the one who can see it. And when you bring a good original idea to somebody, you can't be looking for validation out of every mouth. And you know, you're really kind of fortunate and lucky when you get somebody who goes, "Oh, I get it," because you are the person who gets it and you see the value of the idea. I used to make this mistake all the time when I was younger. I would test everything out with my father or my brothers or friends of mine. And a lot of times, I think my most brilliant ideas, I would get them and I'd go so excited and I would run to my dad or I'd run to one of my friends and I'd be like, "This is the idea." Blah, 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 blah. And then they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. It seems a little, you know, like," and they would scare me away from the thing I wanted to do. And it wasn't that it wasn't a good idea. It was that I could see it and they couldn't. And I was literally giving them the idea before it was like even formed enough that I could prove it to them that it worked. I was just telling them the basic idea. And there's a reason nobody had done that before, because when people said it out loud like that, it didn't sound right. They were like, "I don't know if that's a good idea." Nah, you know, and I would stop myself from doing the best ideas that I had. The ideas that would pass the muster with people were ideas that were sort of adjacent to other things that had been done.
Comfortable,
and people were like, "Oh yeah, I could see why that would work. I could see why that would work is not a brilliant idea. That's a good idea. A good idea. That's a nice one. Everybody gets that. That's a good idea. A great idea is something that you see and other people don't see. And when you have a great idea that you see and you believe in and you feel a passion for, you really got to kind of keep it under wraps until you can get it together and bring it out to the world."
So you feel like this band can see your idea?
Well, yeah, a lot of that, but also really it comes back to me learning the lesson that, and I knew this. And over the course of Mother Ayahuasca and like my past, you know, two girlfriends, you know, Julie, who I'm going out with now, who's like super mega psychic, and my girl, before, one of my serious girlfriends before that, who's got a really good intuition, good taste, and both of them were very like, "I wish you didn't break up Baptized by Fire. Like that band was great. Like I really prefer that to all the stuff you did after it, even though you're probably a better songwriter now and the production's probably better and whatnot. But like, I like that band. That band had something." And that band did have something. It had my idea. My idea was really inspired by Motorhead doing a cover, doing a tribute song to the Ramones. They did a song called RAMONES Ramones. And it's really like a mashup of the two bands. It's simple and fast moving and fun and kind of poppy melody wise, like the Ramones were, but it was raw and vicious and hard like Motorhead was. And I heard that song and I went, "This is my band. This is what I want to be." You know, because I was always a punk rocker, but I really believed in the power of hard rock and metal to kind of give you an outlet for your energy, to help you get live vicariously through other people and, you know, and experience some things. And, you know, I said, "This is it. This is what I want to do." And at the time Baptized by Fire was coming up, granted, you know, Baptized by Fire was marred by the death of my best friend, Crystalline, who was my drummer. He was my rock. He was the one who made me feel like what I was doing mattered and that I was worthy. And when he passed away, I was kind of by myself, like, because at that point I put together a new band, and like it wasn't like I had somebody who was. It's kind of like having a girlfriend, or breaking up with your girlfriend and becoming famous, and then like you're trying to get another girlfriend, and all the girls who are you're meeting, they all like they're, well, you're famous, like, but like this was my girlfriend when I wasn't famous, so I trusted him. You know, I was a VJ on MTV2. Like I had a lot of success during him passing away and at that time, and he was my rock that made me feel like I could do it. So when I started bringing Baptized by Fire to the labels, it was around the time where all sorts of great bands were being dropped by their record labels. One of my favorite bands, a punk band called the F-Ups. When I found out that they got dropped by their record label, I was sort of in shock because to me they were like one of the best punk bands out in the world right then, and they got dropped by their label. I was just like, well, what? And there's tons of other bands, at the time, great bands that got dropped by their record labels, and most of them eventually like got picked up by other people or whatever. But a lot of bands just ceased to be and disappeared for a while. And and I'm going to these record labels, and these executives who I'm meeting with, they are losing their jobs left and right. The people beside them are being fired. That guy's being fired. Everybody's being fired.
Right.
And here I am, this like kind of cutesy young rocker guy who they were hoping would be Bon Jovi or Billy Idol, and I was fucking Sid Vicious, and I was all aggression, all energy, and they just like were trying to form me into something that I wasn't, and I really fought against it for a long time. And then after I did Rock the Cradle, which solidified that Rebel Yell Bon Jovi kind of like cutesy thing, and I did this moral victory party with Baptized by Fire, singing "Fuck You" and Juggernaut on stage at the Whiskey a Go Go with my nipples pierced and Liberty spikes, and I came off the stage, and every one of these executives who was interested in me like 5 seconds ago was sort of like scratching their heads like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
And the thing of the matter is, the bane of our existence is not the creative people who have made, seemingly non-woke, material. It's not like the writers haven't been pitching female leads and black leads and Hispanic leads and Asian leads forever. The writers have been pitching the right things to the executives for years. The executives have been going, no. Women don't sell. Black people don't. You can't have a black as the lead. You can't like they are the ones who have been, the buck stops with them, and they have been changing every lead character into a white male for years and years and years and years. So now there's this unnatural shift going on, like where like people are like, oh, but people end up blaming the artist, like it's the artist's fault. No, it's the executives who choose everything based on superficial ideas. They choose things based on the trends. And when you're choosing things based on the trends and you're at the cutting edge, it's very hard for you to get people to look at you unless you are packing them in everywhere. And at the same time, there was no music scene. And, like if I was a straight punk band, I could have been in the punk scene. If I was a straight metal band, I could have been in the metal scene. But instead, I ended up getting like lumped into this thing where people would find out who my father was. And I would end up with these 80s throwback bands and these like old school 70s rock bands. And I didn't understand because my band didn't sound like that. Right. So I got so frustrated with the reaction because it wasn't even like a "you suck." It was like a I don't know what to do with this.
You're telling a very interesting story because I can remember seeing you here on Long Island. I think you were probably 17, and I think it was Blazed before
Blazed.
Baptized?
Yeah, Blazed is the genesis of Baptized by Fire. Blazed was when Chris was alive with me.
Right. So I saw you, and I thought as a front man you were super powerful, and you did have this kind of Sebastian Bach vibe, which at the time I thought that was certainly timely. But the band, I didn't think the music sounded like that for sure. You were your own thing for sure. I'm going to just pop this up just because we happen to be working on it, and I apologize to our guest who's waiting patiently, but I just want to pop this up because we did this together, and this was such a pleasure to work on.
We're baptized by fire. Remember the fucking name. Ding.
What was that?
I've had to apologize to my band. I called them all to tell them I'm sorry that I didn't believe in us. I didn't believe in myself was the problem. And and because the record executive people, they weren't getting it. And it made me so disheartened that I got gunshot. And then recently, because of my mouth, because my wisdom teeth, I started kind of losing my voice a little bit. I wasn't able to sing high. And I recently did a bunch of shows, and I had to pick songs that were a little bit lower, just that were easy for me to sing. And
Right.
I went in there and I tore it the fuck up like I used to. I got on that stage and I just ripped people's fucking heads off. I friggin' forced the crowd to get into it. I had everybody singing. I had the fucking energy in the room up to 11. And I left those shows and I just went, this is what I do.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Totally.
what am I doing? I have fed in to the superficial nonsense that I fight against. And because Julie had told me she wanted me to do fight for your right to party, and I do a kick-ass rendition of Fight for Your Right to Party. I'm from New York. I love doing that. Your pop caught you smoking, man. He says no way. Like, I love singing that song. But I was resistant to suggest it to the band, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, why was I resistant? I'm like, I do a good job on that song, and I realized it was because of superficial reasons. Because it wasn't a good showcase for my voice. And I had been asked to come down and appear at this independent music thing and basically add some energy to the room and sort of talk a little bit and try to give some sage advice to the musicians coming up about what they can do to save themselves from this industry and the superficiality of it. And I was just like, essentially it came down to don't be a poser. Everybody doesn't realize they get so wrapped up in the superficiality that's in the air. They get so concerned about, did I miss a note? Do I look okay? Is any hair in the wrong place? Like with me playing the Ultimate Jam Night, my energy and my aggression, there was a lot of kind of quiet, I'll say it, jealousy. Sort of like the better I would do with the audience and the more I would take control of the room, the more they seemed to be kind of mad at me. Like I hadn't earned it. And I got lost in that, and I believed it, and I was like, well, maybe if I just become a better singer and I demonstrate how my singing is really like quality and that I've earned this on some level, that they'll respect me. But no, it doesn't work like that when people are reacting from a guttural place of sort of jealous ego, because most people don't go out there and just lay it on the line in blood, sweat, and tears. And I don't care how I look. I'm just here to entertain. I'm here to reach in my soul and give a little piece of me to everybody.
But they feel it when somebody else does it. They feel it.
Yeah. Well, and it's amazing too, because I could always tell the people who got that and got me, because I'd come off the stage and they would just run up to me and be like, Jess, that was so amazing. And I was just always so touched, by those, because the rest of the guys, it was tended to be like this little bit of like lions looking at other lions, like, but I'm not like that. I'm not ego driven. I really, like, if you go and put on a great show, like I'll be the first person to try to run and tell you, oh man, that was so great. I love that song. You did such a good job. And there was a guy who sang with me at this show the other day, and I just had to tell him, gush to him multiple times how fucking incredible he sounded. And half of it was because he was singing Led Zeppelin songs, and he loved those songs. It was so clear how much he loved them. And you just heard him coming out of his mouth, and it was just clear to me that he was so grateful to be on stage singing these songs that he loved. And I'm recovering from drugs. I'm very emotional, and I literally was just like, oh my God, like how amazing your
gratitude, man. It's a powerful thing, right?
Yeah, I came out and I said, how the fuck do you follow up that? Was the first thing I said. I did Baptized by Fire did a Battle of the Bands on Long Island, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I just think proof is in the pudding. I got up on stage, 6 bands into the Battle of the Bands, and in the middle of my set, I sang the hook for one of the previous bands, who I thought was so fucking great. They blew my mind. I thought they were awesome. And I said, what a fucking great band they were. And I literally went,
you sang one of their songs.
We're gonna fight tonight. Oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, whoa. I like trying to get the audience to sing it with me. So I'm at a Battle of the Bands. I'm competing with them. And I'm like, how great was that other band?
That's awesome.
Because that's how it should be. It should be about awesome. like how great of a night have we been?
Yeah.
I don't want
That's a great story.
By attrition, I want to win because my manager at the time, he thought that was hysterical. He's like, the balls on you, get up on stage and you sing the other band's song. I was like, I thought it was really great.
That's amazing.
Being honest, but that's how I think. I don't think like that. So when I have these reactions to me, like I've had reactions to best friends of mine who got like kind of jealous of me in ways, and like I've been nothing but encouraging and loving, and I realize that once people are seeing something a certain way, they can't exactly unsee it. And I finished those shows and I just went, I was right the fucking first time, and I'm mad. Oh, I don't want to cry. I'm mad that I didn't believe in what I was doing, and that I let all of the other people's unsuredness shake my suredness. And I've just could have come back around to assuredness. And
Yeah, man. Listen, we're always shedding our skin, right, and coming back new. And Jesse, you know what I think about you. You know how much I endorse you, and I'm behind anything you do, and want to see you on stage. I want to see you hosting shows. I want to see you doing voiceovers. I want to see you writing comic books. All of the things you love, because it's just so apparent what comes out.
Well,
You know what I mean?
thank you. I
But
appreciate
listen,
it.
I got to take a little control of the show, because
Let's take
we're a
control.
while into the show right now.
In conclusion, though, I just say this will end up being my spiritual successor to what I was doing yesterday, and
Nice.
I'm really happy to be back on the path. But please, I'm so excited to hear from our friend.
I
And
think you're really gonna like Jason. His some of
thank you,
his
Jason.
artwork. I'm gonna just start introducing him. Some of his artwork is right up your alley. Jason was very much into pop
Tony
culture.
Stark.
Yeah, pop
Tony
culture.
Stark built this in a cave from scraps.
Exactly. So this is some of the older work that I found of his. These are some tattoos. Obviously he's a tattoo artist. There's his Zombie Christ, which I love. And again, very, very a lot of pop imagery that I think you relate to, comic book stuff and things like that. And
Zombie
then
Christ. That's a really inspired idea. I don't know what it
Zombie
means,
Christ.
but I'd like to explore what that means.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Zombie Christ. There's something good about that.
So I just wanted to kind of preview some of his artwork before I brought him on. But this week's guest, his name is Jason Ackerman. He's an amazing artist,
Maybe
and
Jason
an amazing
appreciate
guy. And we're appreciating Jesse's shirt. And somebody's calling. Tell them you'll be back later. And let's welcome Jason Ackerman to the live stream. What's up, Jason?
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, pretty good.
Hey,
Certainly can't
Jason,
complain.
I love that Zombie Christ. That thing is awesome.
All right, think about this. He's the OG. He was the first zombie ever.
He is the first zombie ever. There's some real,
Think about it.
it's really got to be thought about a little bit more. You want to do an independent comic book one shot with me? I'm all over that. Like, I can figure out an explanation for that shit.
I got some great ideas.
I'm sorry,
Awesome.
I don't know what that keeps happening on my.
Yeah, man, turn off your phone. So Jason, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I was telling
Thank you
people
for having me.
I was telling people that you popped up on my radar, just the way that the live stream works when I'm looking for a guest, and I saw some of your new work, which had a lot of spiritual themes to it, and the old work that I was used to was the very pop culture icons and things like that, which is all great. But I said, "Ooh, what's he doing now?" And I reached out to see if you wanted to come on the show, and luckily you did. And you also happen to have some great ayahuasca stories, which I know Jesse loves. So
you know why I love the ayahuasca stories? Because there's no one the same. There's no two the same. Like I have at this point I've read 1,000 stories, and I've spoken to a couple hundred people, individually. Every single story is just so individualized. Even the ones that are similar in some fashions are just completely different and kind of blow.
Well, they're usually specific to that person. But Jason,
there are common themes that people see, which to me is utter proof that you're going into a whole nother realm. It's like a lot of people see the honeycombs, the workers. There's obviously the sacred geometry. A lot of people see grandmother, and like it's described pretty much the same way. So
how about the snake going into people's mouths, which I never experienced, but a lot of people have told me that some of their experiences literally began with this big snake going and just straight down their throat.
Or people vomiting it. When people purge, watching them purge snakes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So one of the traditions on our show it is just to kind of add to the collective answer that's been growing since we started. And
Yeah.
this is the live stream of consciousness. We are all about the collective. We are all about everything being connected in by vibration and frequency. But by your perception and best definition, what is consciousness?
So for me, consciousness is, I would say now now I'm conscious. Now I'm awake. Previously, I was sleeping. I was totally stuck in the matrix, and now I am very much awake. I see the world for what it truly is. I see myself for what I truly am, and the value that I have. Uh, in past
Isn't
lives, it
part.
just didn't exist for me. I've been asleep most of my life. Now I'm awake.
Yeah, you know, one of my lessons through ayahuasca was that uh, in other lives, I had done very similar to what I have done in this life, but this time around, I was being given the opportunity to wake up and realize what I was doing, that I wasn't
Yeah.
asking people for help, and I was trying to do everything on my own, and that I was experiencing a lot of pain and suffering, and I was allowing myself to suffer by myself until I was so much in pain that I would basically die bitter and angry at the
Yeah.
world, everybody, and that it would like corrupt me and darken my soul, and I would die very upset. And that this time I was given an opportunity to ask for help and to speak and to tell people what I was experiencing and to not go quietly into the night, but to vocalize what I was actually, you know, going through so that I
Yeah.
didn't end up like I ended up in so many other lives where I just died
Now you
angry.
can die happy.
Yeah,
So like,
You've been given the opportunity to die happy.
I'm hoping.
yeah, I'm a firm believer at this point that like I'm energy having a human experience, and I've chosen to be where I'm at. Every time I've come back, I've chosen to I've made that choice to come back. And much like what you were saying, I've done it alone my entire life, also all of my lives. And it's gotten to the point where the pain through all of it has gotten so great that I've surrendered, and that I've come to a place of acceptance and loving awareness, and I'm beginning with the I think the biggest step for myself is self-forgiveness and not judgment. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm trying to treat myself very softly now.
I
Mhm.
swear the other night when I was in that pain loop in bed, I like, it's going to make me cry. At a certain point, I went, I'm sorry. I won't treat myself like this anymore. I'm done. I'm not going to torture myself. This is torture and this sucks. And I'm not going to add any more. This is more torture than I need. And like, I'm good. I'm going to be nice to myself from now on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting off drugs.
No,
So
it's okay,
we
man.
were talking about
Self-awareness is an amazing thing. It's a
crying. Like,
beautiful gift.
anytime I connect to anything fucking sweet because of these stupid drugs that I was on.
Yeah, but Jesse, you know, we've had this conversation before, and honestly, and Jason, you might relate to this. For me, for me, you know, somebody can tell you thoughts manifest. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like thoughts become reality, and you can abstract that and be like, all right, if I have an idea for an invention, I've got to write it down and draw it and make it, and it can become a reality. I get that, but crying, emotions, that literally is you thinking in your head a thought, something that is really touching to you, and physically, all of a sudden now your throat is tight, your eyes start to well up. There's a physical sensation you can feel.
Yeah.
So for me, that moment when you're crying, when you're saying something and it touches you to that, you're touching your soul. I mean, you're literally connected right there to the purest, you know, that you can as a human being.
And crying is the best form of purging. You know, you're purging out negativity. You're purging out whatever it is, even joy. You're just purging out whatever you need to. You know, it's funny. So 2 weeks ago, I did another ceremony, and it was literally the most profound thing I've ever experienced. Like, grandmother took me further than I've ever gone, and literally showed me so much about myself, good things and bad things.
Mhm.
But the lessons were unbelievable. And I've never like my father died, I didn't cry. You know, I've had friends die, I didn't cry. It's just
Mhm.
I've been closed off emotionally. And with the path I'm on, the journey that I'm on, I'm resonating at a higher frequency than a lot of people that are around me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very difficult, and especially like you guys you shed your skin. The man I was when I walked up to the mountain was a man on a journey, long into a journey for enlightenment. Who the man that came down was totally different, a whole new set of downloads.
Right.
And then I'm going through some stuff on a personal level, and I went and stayed with a friend of mine from the tribe, and I had a moment of silence, and one tear came down my eye, and it was very much like my first Bufo experience. I was like excited. I did the handshake for Bufo. I was super excited, and I was like, this is going to be great. I can't wait to do my solo. That tear was like, all right, it's finally coming. And then all of a sudden, the waterworks came, and I literally couldn't stop crying for 3 hours. So much so that I started having a panic attack, not because of what I was crying about, but the fact that I could no longer control my emotions. I've had this beautiful gift my entire life to be able to just flip a mental switch, and I'm dead. I feel nothing. I don't care what goes on. I don't have that anymore. It's gone. And it was just that purge was so necessary. It was so beautiful, and it was painful, and it was horrible. And like thinking about it now, it's painful, but it was just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crying is great.
This whole time hearing this, I've tried to tell my mom about this dream I had. It made me so happy. But I mean, literally every time I think about it, like just a little bit, I start to like cry. They're happy tears, but it's like it's so emotional for me that like I can't actually communicate. Like I literally I started telling her about the dream, and it's so simple, but I basically my family surprised me with one of my children, and I heard him call my name in another room, and I just lost it. And it just showed me what's important to me, and proved to me like I don't fucking react like this to anything. And like, like I just question myself like crazy. I'm just this I'm so fucking hard on myself. It's ridiculous. And like I am always like because people would always sort of mistake my intentions, and I would sit there and I would be like, well, am I secretly like evil and I don't know it? And I would just like go so hard, like try to figure out if I was this thing that somebody mistook me for. And I know that that's not true, like I know it's not true, but I used to just be so hard of like, well, they think so, maybe they're right. Like I was always trying to honor other people's ideas about me and about the world to my own detriment. And and I think it makes me just so happy how happy I know my kids make me, because I know what that means about me and about what's important to me. And it just like is my proof that like that my fucking priorities and my heart is in the right place, and I know that, and like I don't have anything to worry about. I don't have to fucking check myself ever again. Like I'm a good person and I try my best, and what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Yeah, man.
It's a beautiful thing, like I don't know. I'm coming to this understanding that like you said, you're trying your best, that you don't try your best, you do your best, and that's great. Whatever it is, we can't do any wrong. Like, what do we know better than what the universe knows? No, there's no right, there's no wrong. It just is.
You're doing your best. You like the people who are behaving like I hate saying that people are acting out of their egos, and that like in all Hollywood it's all like ego compromised people. They don't know it. They don't realize that that's what's going on, because everybody's unconscious, and they're unconsciously concerned about the wrong things, and those things are taking a paramount place in the way they go about doing things, in the way they go about making music and performing. And performing is supposed to be about a little gift of yourself to the audience, and helping people to connect and process. And when you're all in how you feel about you, and is everybody looking at me okay, you can't do that. You can't do what your job is, and your job is to be selflessly available, so that you can give to others a little piece of that energy and that soul. And people are really locked up in it. So it hurts me to say, oh, well, they're all kind of acting egotistically, because they don't know it. They don't get it. But they are, and so much of the group is doing that because we're all sort of worried about what everybody else thinks.
Well, I think that's you know what, it's interesting not to get into, you know,
I'm listening.
we like to keep things happy and light here, but the reality of the matter is, you know, it's a serious time right now in the world. A lot of things are going on, and we, you know, I think for us, you know, and the people who are into this kind of thing in this show aren't having as hard of a time as we're seeing a lot of the other people having, because they're buying right into it, and they're participating in it. And I know me and Jesse, we've talked about this. We kind of just sit back. Sometimes it sucks us in, you know what I mean? And we're like, we want to react, but you know, it's an interesting time right now. You know, the energy that's out there.
You know that.
There's a there,
Sorry,
there's a
Louis.
stronger I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a stronger call now than I think there's ever been towards people using plant medicines or just going to spirituality. And I can't remember exactly what the theory of it is or what it's called, but the Earth's frequency has changed. That scientifically it has risen.
Yeah.
And humans and the Earth, their energies have always been symbiotic, but now it's done this. So it's driving people insane. And you have to wake
Raise
up
your
and come to a
vibration.
higher
Yeah.
level so
Yeah.
you are back in sync. And I
Yeah.
think I mean I personally think that the world right now is just going to crap. It's imploding. And there's the groups of people that are creating tribes and becoming higher level thinkers or higher level beings
Right.
are going to be the ones that change things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this just was making me think that there's some stuff in my family that we're all very kindly trying to dance between the raindrops a bit with each other, and it's sort of mostly a generational thing. It's sort of like our parents, largely led by my father, and then like the kids, and we think a bit differently when it comes to political stuff, and when we try not to get into these conversations because number one, we love each other, and that's what it's all about. But invariably, there's a little bit of this, especially because, like, our father literally taught us how to be anarchists. Freedom fighters, do what you want to do, and then to a little bit of it, like if he goes along with the system, we're like, like we almost want to throw it in his face. And
Sure.
and I had like a moment recently where sort of I was asked to do something that was kind of against my own personal beliefs, and I asked my spirits. I'm always talking to spirit and my higher self, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
and I said, should I do this? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, really? I don't want to. And they were like, we know, but what's going on here is you guys are each creating your own individual realities. And while you're both right in various fashions, um, it's not about the people outside you anymore. It's about you, the two of you who love each other and have warring realities. And if you could make a gesture in their direction that says that you care more about them than you do about your reality, like that, it would mean so much to them, and it would essentially be like putting down your weapons. And
Sure.
I literally, like, I got the thing. I'm like, would I actually have to go through with it if I made this gesture? And they were like, no, it'll all work out. And I ended up making the gesture, and I was just like, okay, I'm willing to acquiesce, but other things came up that were sort of better reasons that to not, and it was like, okay, well, don't worry about it. We really appreciate it, and I know that I did this amazing like thing for my father in being willing to come to the table and do choose the way he would choose because I literally just went, hey, this war of ideology, like, it's not with you. And, and we get tied up in the war with our friends.
Yes.
Everybody's pointing and shooting the messengers so much of the time. It's not the people who are actually in control. It's not the people who made the system. It's not the people who fund both sides of every war. Every war that has ever gone on, they happen and they keep perpetuating themselves because there's money to be made.
Exactly.
And we can't get to these people at the top
No.
and top of the chains. And you know what? And these people are changing and dying, and new people come in. And meanwhile, we end up getting stuck in silly, petty political rivalries with our best friends, with our mom, and our
With our
dad.
mom.
with
I'm
our
having a big
sister.
thing with my mom right now, and it's been amazing to kind of go through. And from where I'm at, which is kind of this, I hate to use the word enlightened, but this more aware perspective, just trying to talk to her, and she's just like angry and like, no, I can't believe you believe that stuff. And it's like, I'm not trying to make you believe what I believe, Mom. I'm just saying maybe there's other stuff to believe.
Ayahuasca and Bufo have totally woken me up, in my opinion, to
Oh,
what to
yeah,
all of
Jason, what do you
this.
have to say about this?
Yeah.
It's all a construct to keep us scared and fighting
Of
with one
course.
another, so they can
Yeah.
do whatever they want to do, and
Of
nobody
course.
pays attention. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're right or left. Whoever's in charge doesn't give a shit about us. They don't care. They care about filling their pockets. And this is
Right.
all part of the construct, the matrix, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
just to keep us suppressed.
Yeah.
There was a really great breakdown by Russell Brand, who I adore. I don't know if anybody's kept up with him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He has become
He's
one of
brilliant.
the
Yeah.
best journalists that is around. He does so much research. He's so freaking informed. He's so centrist, especially because he really has taken this position which is a similar position to me. It's like that we are so backwards where we are right now that we need to do a complete rewrite of this whole system. So I'm not even going to argue about the nitpicky of the system.
Right.
This is all wrong as far as I'm concerned. We
Right.
need to be more global community. We need to be, about freedom, about guarding everybody's freedoms, about really caring about everybody equally. And like that is just, that's it. But he did this wonderful breakdown on Joe Rogan, calling out CNN for skewing and now I'm going to skew it the opposite way. The Nobel Prize winning drug ivermectin that they chose to call a horse deworming.
Right.
And this is an editorializing choice that CNN is making by describing it that way. And, literally Russell Brand is taking the time to have the type of arguments that I literally just go, oh my God, if you can't see how this is fucking skewed and not balanced.
Well, did you see that meme I posted where it said, Joe Rogan said something about, I've been drinking more water, and then the news says Joe Rogan endorses a fluid that's commonly used as engine coolant.
Yeah. See,
it's
so easy.
It's fucking water. Yeah.
Most people don't know ivermectin won the Nobel Prize. You could skew it that way, or you could not skew it at all. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's not skewed. I'm mentioning that it won a Nobel Prize to balance the silliness that was already said about it, to try to discredit it. But this demonstrates, and what does that say? It says that they have an agenda to push in a certain direction. And this is the type of stuff that people aren't looking for until they are. And once you see that is happening all the time, all over the place, in every story, on every level, and then when people say something like, oh, what, you went to your own news sources and you did your own research, dude, there are freaking great doctors out there who are not on CNN. I promise you. Okay, the CNN people are being vetted by the system that is perpetuating the same fucking bullshit that they've been perpetuating forever. I am a spiritual medicine man. I've been taking these medicines. They literally were driving me crazy. I had various things as they would kick in. I would feel myself detach from my aura, my auric field. What do we talk about on the show all the time? That idea comes before form. Right. That the book, The Field, demonstrates that we literally grow into our body from the shape of it that is in our field. So what happens when the medicine you're taking is fucking with your field? They don't know. They're not asking those questions. They are not thinking about it in those terms. And I
They
literally
don't care. They're making so much money.
yeah, and I don't want to hear from a doctor who doesn't have any idea about that.
Right.
And every doctor that you're going to go to who's going to be recommended in the mainstream is going to be somebody who has no idea about what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I know that this is true. And there are doctors out there who do, and they will have a hard time getting on the TV because they're not speaking the language.
Yeah, they don't fit the agenda. The shame of it is that it's the manipulation is done so well through mainstream media, which isn't news anymore. It's opinion news, so that it doesn't have to be fact. Through social media, it's done so well that people don't do their own research and look into things. It's sad.
Yeah, no, it is. If you're a comic book fan, it's a little bit easier to see. I kind of love it for comic book fans. I feel like a lot of the nerd culture people are waking up because the same sort of political and media manipulation that happens. And look, at the end of the day, you can call this no more nefarious than just greed and profit motivation.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's just, hey, ivermectin is not one of our sponsors. However, we are getting paid millions of dollars right now to promote this vaccine. We are getting paid millions. The government has lobbyists. Everybody else gets payola. Payola is when you literally go down to the radio station and you go, play our record. I'll give you this money. Here it is under the table. Thank you, biggest record disc jockey on RCN, whatever it might be. Payola is happening all the time. In the drug field, I have two very good friends of mine who their professional job was to go out and wine and dine doctors to tell them what to prescribe to patients. And a lot of this had to do with having very popular drugs that were owned in some part by people who were not the pharmaceutical industry. So the pharmaceutical industry, they created drugs that were similar but less effective, but weren't being used as well. And they went out and they came up with all these different reasons why they should take those drugs off the market and out of availability, drugs that people have been using for years, and instead prescribe their drug, which does the same thing, except they own the trademark and they're making more of the money off of the drug because some people own some of these drugs that were developed and they became popular because they were so effective. Now your doctor is literally being wined and dined weekly by these people getting lobster dinners and whatnot so that they can tell them that I prescribed 500 doses of this new drug that you asked me to prescribe this week. It is so corrupt, this system. You guys just have no idea until you start to look at it with a fair-minded attitude. And if you just go in going, it's complex, and that's why people don't even want to get into it. But once you do get into it, there's enough to go, hey, I don't know if I'm going to take everything that the media has to say this much. And in the comic book websites, you see there's never a bad thing said about anything Marvel or DC puts out because they have direct relationships with these companies and they want to get into the premieres for the movies and they want to get their comics free every week. And if they say that the new comic by DC is shit, well, they're not going to get free copies next week. So now every freaking website that you go to, it sucks. And I can't get real unbiased opinions on what's good and what I should read, what I should check out because every one of these kids is bought and sold and they think it's just a little thing. And what does it matter? It's geek culture. It matters to me. Somebody who cares about geek culture. If you think it happens there, it happens everywhere.
So listen,
real quick. Okay, I'm a firm believer that, especially now, that every single politician worldwide, not just our country, worldwide, it should be a requirement that they do Bufo at least once. Because if every fucking politician did Bufo, this world would be such a better place.
Now, I keep wanting to ask you specifically about Bufo. So remember, I did one of the Toad medicine guys where they gave you the 3 drops. The scars right there. And you swell up and you sweat. I don't know if that one's the one Bufo. No. What's Bufo?
So Bufo is the poison from the Sonora desert toad. They milk it. They put it on a sheet of glass and let it sit out in the desert. And then it crystallizes. And then you take it and you smoke it. Yeah. And then it's quite literally the most powerful hallucinogen on the planet. It's like being shot out of a fucking cannon. It's depending on how sensitive you are, it's anywhere from 15 minutes to 90 minutes. But it's literally, it shoots you through every dimension you could possibly imagine, then back straight into the core of yourself, and you look at yourself in pure truth. There are no stories. Like like I was thinking before when you were speaking on that like I've been in AA and NA for years, and I never had a spiritual awakening, and I've done the steps, and I've never been able to honestly look at myself because I'm so ingrained with my own stories, and they were my truths. But when you're on medicine, like when you're on ayahuasca or Bufo, especially Bufo, you are looking at yourself in the truest, most pure, unadulterated form. It is terrifying.
Crazy.
Terrifying.
Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy.
It's like going into the cave, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly.
There I am.
Put your arm in the stump. I wanted to kind of interrupt because I feel like while this stuff is super important to talk about, and I know that obviously I don't want to create an echo chamber. I know that you guys feel the same way I do about what's going on in the world and all of that stuff. I did kind of want to get back to talking about Jason and his artwork and
know
stuff.
how Jason got
But wait, before I do that, just to tie up what we were talking about, and this is relevant to me too, because I have been having this kind of conflict with my mom about sides, which side are you on, and so there's a documentary called Monopoly, and it is basically it's not I think it probably used to be considered very conspiracy theorist, but it's basically all verifiable information that shows you that there are 4 or 5 investment firms that are invested in every single thing.
You mean like BlackRock?
Like BlackRock, like Vanguard, like these.
Vanguard.
Yeah. So Monopoly is a great documentary that doesn't really say, "Oh, these people are evil and they're gonna eat your babies," but it's like maybe you want to look at this information. It just brings it to light. It does talk about the New World Order and things like that, but I found it to be great. So I'm going to just pop it up here. It's Monopoly, and then there's another one. There's another one called The Bleeding Edge, and that one is on Netflix, and that one is about the FDA, and it's about the hip replacements that were very popular from like the 70s, and how they were made of cobalt, and the cobalt would get into the patient's bloodstream and cause dementia symptoms, and they would be diagnosed with dementia. But when the hip replacement was removed and the cobalt was removed, they would go back to normal. And the FDA kind of knew about these things, and it's the hip replacement, and it's also the mesh that women were having problems with for uterine surgeries and stuff. There were these known issues that the FDA approved, and it was all based on money, and it's all in this documentary. So I don't want to bring that energy up.
Well,
but
just to double down too, and one more little thing that's just like that just shows you what is here. There's a documentary called The Cove, which is all about the dolphins. There's a mini documentary that's a bonus documentary attached to The Cove that you could, if it was on DVD back in the day, you would be able to watch it if you wanted to. So some people watched it like me. It was about mercury. It was about mercury poisoning. It was about the history of mercury poisoning. The FDA of Japan did a long-term study on the effects of sushi. Every member of the board stopped eating sushi. Meanwhile, nothing crazy was said or done in the mainstream. But what does it tell you? That their board, who looked at the information, said, "Oh, wow, I don't like the long-term effects of this." And this is the thing. If it's going to disrupt the process, one of my favorite subjects is suppressed technology. Suppressed technology pretty much always comes down to, if you're going to disrupt the petrodollar, which is what the basis of all the cash flow on the planet is about, your technology will be suppressed. There's simple things like a fuel vaporization system. Like if we were able to vaporize the fuel so that we could separate some of the elements and we could just burn efficiently the part of it that's really good for fuel, the same way you vaporize marijuana or something like that you could save money on gas. You could burn more efficiently. And there's a guy who literally was suppressed, not by the government, which if you come up with something crazy, and there are some amazing things that have been come up with that are top secret, The government has the information, but we're not allowed to talk about it. And some of the
Tesla. Tesla.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened to Tesla happens to other scientists all across the planet. It's really it's a great subject to look into. It's very interesting. It's so cool to find out what is possible and what's going on out there. But things are pushed back, against these things. And for a long time, when I would look at these things, you take it all with a grain of salt. It's a fact that BlackRock and Vanguard, these companies, these organizations, they own a little bit of everything that matters in our lives, and it's just true. And then when you go to like things like Illuminati or whatever, it's difficult things for people to wrap their heads around. But at the end of the day, what I have seen for 20 years of looking at information was, I used to say, man, it would take an awful lot of coordination and a lot of secrecy in order to get something like that to happen. And then after you say that a few thousand times about a few thousand different things, you start to go, hey, wait a second. Maybe there could potentially be some sort of organization that is going on here to help keep us.
It's so intricate. It's so
that
intricate.
they can continue to do what they've been doing forever and ever. Look at every war. Every war has been funded on both sides by the same people. It is so easy to look at this stuff, and over and over and over again, you just find the same patterns. So, don't be, don't knock it until you really go and you look at what information is out there. At the same time, though, don't get locked into the battles with your family and with your friends, because they're not the enemy. They're just people who haven't looked at some of the information that you've looked at, and and really, like, as peaceful and sweet as you can be. I try not to. I don't tell people things unless they ask me, or unless they want to come on the show and we talk about a thing, and something comes up and it feels like right to talk about. But like, if somebody asks me, I'll give them my thoughts on it, but I don't force it. And you want to be the person who people know is wise, because they see the way you're consciously living. They see the way you treat people. They see the way you act in the world and how you live, and that you're having success on a personal level. And that's when people open themselves up to you and go, what do you think about this? And that's what we need. We need a lot of people turning to the people who are paying attention, going, what do you really think?
Well, I'm gonna say, you guys don't know Jason before tonight. I do. And Jason, I just want to tell you, like, man, it is so apparent to me how much peace you have found. Your energy is so amazing. Like, and I told you this earlier. Like, you were always a kind of like likable guy. You were funny. You were fun to be around. But the energy was very different. The energy was coming from a very different place, and I see
painful place.
I see so much self-love right now, man, and to me that's like a home run and a half. It's like, it's amazing. So good on you for
Thank you.
achieving what you have. I just want to get back into your artwork, because that's why we brought you here. So let me add this to the stream. Let me get rid of some of these tattoos that we looked at, and I want to start looking at some of this work, which is some of your paintings. I guess this is a painting on canvas or a wood, or
canvas.
Painting on different mediums. But this is
that's really
one
funny.
of your paintings. So what can you tell us?
I love that. I don't know what to feel.
Listen,
we laugh.
So first, I just want to say this, if I may. It's hilarious the way the universe works. Like, you finding me now. After my last ceremony, I realized how absolutely, positively, cripplingly insecure I am. And one of the guys that in the tribe that I turn to has given me an exercise that anytime I feel like I should do something, but there's hesitation, that I need to do it. So when you messaged, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. Fuck, I need to do it. So it's it's hilarious the way that, like, yeah, I'm very glad, dude. I have been beat up with the cosmic spatula so hard for the past 2 weeks. Something great's coming. I can feel it.
That's awesome. That's
awesome.
So
thank you for having me, you guys.
You're welcome, man. So tell us about this kind of I don't know, what do you call it when in an artist, like this period?
It's a series.
Yeah, like you kind of were doing some similar stuff. You have I was talking about the pop icons. This one is great. You were
Yeah.
talking about the Matrix before. I love this. This is one of my favorite right here.
So like the two that you've just shown are from a series that I was doing of like people that are icons, because especially once Trump got into office, everybody started pointing fingers, and there's a saying, when you're pointing a finger at people, you got three pointing back at you.
Yep.
So it was just to try to get to people to look at the reality of things. Like there's people that we put on pedestals
I love
that
this.
have done horrible things,
Hmm.
but they still have contributed in great ways. So there's always polarity. But I mean, this whole series was just to kind of fuck with people and make them squirm.
Oh, wait, hold on, I jumped ahead. Hold on a second. So then,
Blackface, it's Justin Timberlake.
so wait, hold on.
I love your shit, Jason. This is funny. We're gonna have to work on this zombie Jesus thing.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be phenomenal if this show brought you two guys together to create something. That would be
Oh, I'd be
phenomenal.
honored.
And you know
Yeah, that'd
what?
be cool.
It's not even a question. It already has. So, but I love this pop icon, the personas, and then just mixing them with the pop iconography of the comic book world. I mean, it's
I love
just
it.
Yeah, the way that happened. So it's funny. So I was doing all the political stuff, like just like you know, poking fun at people, and a celebrity dentist here in the city saw my work and he was like, I love it, but I can't have it hanging in my office. So can you do Marilyn Monroe as Wonder Woman? And I was like, all right, whatever. So I did it
Mhm,
and he hung it in his office. And then I just started getting a slew of commissions off of it, which led to a bunch of amazing opportunities and amazing people that now own my artwork. The
mhm,
problem with it was for me, it got boring because I wasn't speaking any truth. I was just
mhm,
painting,
mhm.
and then I kind of took a break for a few months and then began my journey with ayahuasca and bufo, and it started a whole different series now.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm.
so that's what I want to, as we're getting to the end of the show, like I really want to know, what was your breaking point? What was the tipping point? How did you go from, be a Jason Ackerman artist, tattoo artist, to being Psychonaut Jason?
Space monkey. I've been dubbed the space monkey. Um, my wife. My wife is, without medicines, the strongest, most pure, good-hearted person that I've ever met. And through a lot of hard knocks, I learned that I wasn't quite as good as I thought I was. Like I still carry around a lot of the baggage that I had, a lot of the damage, and unfortunately, she bared the brunt of it. And it got to a point where something was going to break. And then when the opportunity to do Bufo presented itself, I knew the benefits of doing those medicines and how they help cure traumas and help get rid of traumas. So I did it the first time, and the way that I felt afterwards was such a weight lifted off my chest. I felt completely different than I ever had, and I genuinely had a spiritual awakening, which through 20 years of recovery and NA and AA, I never had one. With Bufo, I had one. And at
Mhm,
that point, I was just in. And then I had done 4 Bufo ceremonies, and I felt like I was on the edge of a cliff. I could I looked down the cliff and it was really cool and pretty down there, and it was like, ah, nice. But I could look behind me and still see the quote unquote real world. And I felt like I still had a choice. I could go back to that life. I know I'd be living in a lie, but I could still go back. And
mhm,
then when I did grandmother, she quite literally, my first ceremony took me to the edge of that proverbial cliff. And she was like, so look behind you. You've already been there. Like you can go back. It would be horrible, but you can do it. Or you can go down there. And as soon as I looked, she kicked me in the ass as gently as she possibly could. And I've been falling down that cliff ever since at a hyper pace. Like
That
there's no going back for me at this point.
that is so powerful to me, because I think, I mean, things just kind of come through me, and when I write them, I tell people now, like I don't like write songs, anymore. They just kind of channel through me. And I wrote a song called "Get Smart" which was just which was largely, which it sounds like it's like this like egotistical kind of like pump your chest Kid Rock kind of song, but it was what Mother Ayahuasca told me, to go out and own the world and be you and own who you are. And there's this bridge in it where it's like, but like, I got bills to pay, and I can't just walk away from the tried and true, I got mouths to feed and I pay my dues. So I just might die buried in IOUs, but the time is now. Yes, it's finally here. Step up to the rope, put your neck in here and just close your eyes and take a step off the block straight into the clear. And it was just about that exact thing about she like stop resisting this and just let yourself surrender to what you fear and you will be free. Do the thing that you fear to do and you will save yourself. And that
I've done in the past. So I've been on this journey my entire life. I've always felt like something wasn't right, like whether I was like kind of like I was born in the wrong time, like just this world just doesn't seem right to me. It's always seemed a bit off. So I've definitely been on this path for a lifetime, but using the medicines, it's been 8 months, and like where I was to where I am, it's just insane. And this past ceremony, I went further than I've ever gone. And I said this before, like she took me so beautifully and gently to the depths of the universe and just showed me so much. And like at one point I was laying there and I was having a panic attack because I could literally feel there were 20 people having ceremony, like 15 having ceremony. And I started to feel everything that everybody was feeling. And it became so overwhelming. And the guy that's my I don't know what to call him. It's Teddy. He's my guy when I'm up there all the time. He came flying over and he was like, "We got to move you." I could feel it. We got to go. And he took me over and he gave me a kiss and laid me down. And he's like, "You're a fucking space monkey. Travel. You need to travel." And as soon as my back hit the ground, I melted into the earth, and then a beam of light shot out of my head, and I went out. Wow. But she took me into my own heart. I saw the inside of my heart, and I saw this vial of purple glowing liquid of some sort. And literally grandmother said to me, "You are power. Stop looking for it in other people. Stop looking for it in other places." And then she said, "Do you see the light? You are the light. Stop looking for it in other people. Stop looking for it in other places." And then she said, "Step into the fact that you are beautiful." And then she just dissipated and I started traveling again. But for me, that was so profound because it's right. Like I've always looked for what you were saying earlier, validation from other people. I don't need validation from anybody. Like this journey has been very lonely at times because like I was saying earlier, you now operate at a higher level. Not that you're better than anybody. It's just a different frequency.
Right.
And then you have higher frequency, lower frequency, and you got some people in between. But the people around me don't get me anymore. They just don't understand what I'm seeing, how I feel, how I perceive the world.
Right.
So it can be very lonely, but I have such a huge support group around me. Like
it's
my
lonely
wife.
on the cutting edge, my friend.
Yeah.
But it's meant to be.
My wife is the most supportive woman in the world.
Taylor says, "I just want to say thanks for freeing me." And that's, you know what, honestly, that's what this show is about. This show is all about just putting out that frequency that we are, just to be it, and just you know what I mean? And it's really been amazing. It's like you said, it's brought people like you back into my life. It's brought people I don't know into my life. It's brought people into the lives of our viewers. It's really been such an amazing experience.
If I could say really quick, I think the most powerful message that grandmother and Bufo have both given me, it's very simple. Just be.
Yep.
That's it. Just be. I don't have to be anything but me. Yep. I've stepped into my skin, and for the first time in my life, I feel comfortable. I feel like I'm home. Finally.
It makes so much sense. It's like, I just want to bring up this last piece because I think this one is the most significant. It's one of my favorites of your new. Is this the latest piece that you've done?
The one with the third eye. Yeah, this is the second in this new series.
Oh, okay. And then the male version Who is that in the male version? Let me see if I
Uh,
got that one still.
that's
That one
Busta Rhymes. That's Duckworth.
right here.
It's just some like a Buddhist monk.
It looks
Okay,
like the
so
rock.
it looks like the
Yeah.
Rock.
It's funny. I really feel like in context, this
Oh,
I want to share that. So right after the bridge thing where I say you step up to the rope and straight into the clear,
Yeah.
and that I come in and it's this bit of me taking my full power. And in context now with everything that we've been talking about, I think you'll understand. The words are, I'm gonna come, do what I came here to do. Fuck that, dude. I'm talking to you on a run, only speaking the truth, not just the shit that divides you in two. I fought through all the gore. No, I've been in before. I've been house hunting, and I'm finally at the motherfucking door. Safe to say, we're all going through our own wars. 7 years, been there for sure. I forget exactly how it ends, but it's, if you got a good heart, you better get smart. And it's about taking ayahuasca. It's about opening yourself up to these spirits, these mother
Yeah.
spirits that can
I don't
help.
know if I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to do wachuma, which is it's cactus. Whoo! Talk about heart opening,
My
dude.
mom and my brothers did wachuma in a ceremony in
Oh,
Peru, in a mix of a lot of things. They had some really crazy experience. Mine have been mostly relegated. Went to Peru, but my shit in Peru was pretty tame. As far as I was concerned, it was very tame. They were they were about safety to my detriment, because I tend to need a little bit more to like get to access.
start to break through. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But my
Hey, if you ever come to New York, if you
Mhm.
ever come to New York and you want to do ceremony, literally we do it once a month. Like I'm on a journey for it. But if
Oh,
you're ever here, you want to come, let me know.
absolutely. I will reach out to you about that, man. I really like seriously, we're gonna chat. I'm so inspired by your work. Just I see the seeds of so much truth in every piece that
I didn't even think about it, but the idea of you two collaborating is amazing. I love that idea, and seriously, I think
you like
that's
my Kingdom Come Superman shirt.
Absolutely. I have a comic. I'm not going to talk about it on here. I have a comic that I designed that I took to Robot Chicken, and like they literally, I sat across the table from all these people, and they started reading the comic, and their faces were just fucking white. And at one point they started giggling. They slid it back across the table, and they're like, "We're never going to touch that." I think it's a hit. I'll talk to you about it off of this, but
I
I
bet
think it's a
it
hit.
is.
awesome. Jason, I'm just gonna pop this up. I know this is current. There is your Instagram for anybody who is interested in checking out some more of Jason's artwork.
And do you work out of the shop doing tattoos on Long Island?
Oh, that's
In
another great
Manhattan.
part of the story. Yeah,
I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah,
Can we?
yeah.
Jason runs the Soho shop for World Famous.
Oh,
Yes, I
cool.
do.
So you got
Yeah.
so it's your own shop.
I'm the general manager of the shop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Please, everybody, support Jason. Well, boy, does this man deserve it. He's been on the journey, and if I was still on social media, I'd be following on Instagram so I could get these insane, evocative images that he's creating popping into my feed whenever he decides to put one up. So, I mean, don't miss out. There's some great shit going on Jason's feed. I can tell.
We
Hey,
are
son,
we are a Chex Mix
join
of
us.
people, Angela.
It's doing ayahuasca has opened my creativity up vastly. So like this is the first time ever that I have a full series already drawn out. I have
Oh
12
wow,
paintings drawn, designed, printed, and ready to start painting. So like for the next 6 to 8 months, I'm just going to be going.
amazing!
Awesome
So
stuff,
so
man.
cool to see. And
I
just the
think
fact that your artwork is hanging in these houses of these people, it's like, and you've been
Yeah.
commissioned to do it. That's an
Well,
artist's
it's funny.
dream, you know.
That first painting that you showed with the Donald Trump, it's called Sunday Drive. A friend of mine is friends with Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, and he sent him I was tattooing him, and I went downstairs, and when I came back up, he had already worked the deal with Tommy. So Tommy Lee, actually, that's hanging in his house.
Wow,
Oh,
That's
nice.
so fucking,
It's a
that's
great
so
picture.
fucking cool.
Like I said, when I looked at it, I just went, I don't know how to feel about this, but it's great.
I feel good, but I don't know why.
I'm like, this is great. I think any way you slice it, this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody must admit this is humorous.
Yeah, the world needs a little bit of levity. It's not that serious.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I
We
mean,
worry about shit that doesn't matter.
well, at the end of the day, that's what it sort of sounded like. It just sort of like it sounded like the most ridiculous depiction of the narrative that I'd ever seen. That I
Yeah.
thought could make anybody laugh. Like you'd be if you're a Trump supporter, you're like, yep, that's what they're saying. Isn't that ridiculous? And then if you're like, yeah, that's what we think. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
either way, it's like that's what they're saying. It's ridiculous. That's what we think. It's ridiculous. Like, you guys are both right.
Oh,
That's
it's not that serious.
No,
Right.
no, it's not.
Well,
Jason,
Jason,
we got to wrap up the show, but can you stick
yeah.
around for a minute so we could just check?
Yeah, yeah. And seriously, thank you so much for having me on. This has been so much
thank
fun.
you for
And it's helped
coming.
with my insecurities more than either one of you know.
You and you did amazing, dude. You're such a calm speaker. I feel like anybody who was watching, you can verify this, but the energy it's intriguing. You want to listen to what you have to say. You feel the love for
And you
sure.
got Jesse off of painkillers with a lot of teeth and pressure in my mouth. And I barely thought about that the whole time we were chatting. So,
yeah. Fact.
so my
Ninja-
legs are
Ninja
shaking.
Kitty
Thanks,
says
Ninja.
Yeah, no, Jason, you've been a wonderful guest. We'd love to have you on again. Let's put
Yeah,
you
anytime.
in the room and we'll say goodbye real quick and say our thanks.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to put you in the green room. I'll see you in a minute, Jason. Hang out.
That was the great Jason Ackerman. Fucking amazing. Thank you, Michael, for introducing us.
You know what? And it's honestly, it's so much. It's like why I'm grateful. I know the most amazing, interesting people, and who are all on their own journeys. So it's like maybe some of them aren't appropriate for the show, but one day they will be. You know. But
I'm so picky when it comes to like art. You know, especially like I love a great artist. You know, and a great artist is one thing. You know, somebody who's got some sort of unique like view of the world. That's like, you know, every time they show up, it looks the same, and it's that you know, like, and that's one. But when it comes to people trying to say things with their art, generally speaking, I find most artists kind of fall flat at that.
right.
Or are very derivative of themselves or derivative of a idea. Like one after another, I was like, oh, that's great. What a great idea is held in that one picture. What a great idea is held in that one. But what a great idea. He is just giving away brilliance with every one of those pieces. I'm so impressed. And
you know what? I was talking to him earlier, and it was, you know, again, I knew him years ago, and I knew his tattoo work and some of his canvas work. But in wanting to bring him back on and looking at his work again, I got this feeling, and I guess it's because of where I'm at. I'm a little bit more intuitive now myself, but it totally brought up and evoked like artists that I was inspired by growing up, like from Mad Magazine, like Jack Davis, and just people who, when I would see their artwork, I would recognize it. I'd be like, oh, I know that artist. And I see Jason's artwork and I'm like, oh, I know that artist. And that as an artist to achieve that, I mean, that's what we talk about all the time. That's intention. You are going into your artwork with intention. You know, that is.
He's excellent. He's got good style, but what more, like really everything that you presented us with like, says something. Anyway, our fabulous Twitch network producer is on the mend. Just got out of surgery, and she's doing better. We're getting together calendar stuff for her as we get some new people going. I've been a little under the weather from my wisdom teeth, so I haven't been able to get all my stuff together, but I have a few different people who I'm talking to be bringing on the show. It's going to be great. And we're grateful to you guys for supporting us week after week. We so appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you to Sunshine. Thank you to all the new people who have been coming and people who are, you know, we got a lot of people who occasionally just like post like one comment and we see, you know, that we're there, like, you know, we don't know who all these people are, you know, when we see numbers and whatnot, but like we so appreciate when you guys chime in and say hello. Thank you guys for the awesome conversation that was going on in the comments. I saw lots of.
Oh, Jesse, did you see? I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if I saw a comment from you, but did you see the photos that Angela did of the Barbie set watching us, the Barbies watching
Oh
us.
yeah. She
Oh
said
my
that.
God, so amazing! That was I'm not prepared. I didn't set it up
It's
to bring
very
it up,
meta. It's
but
very meta.
she's
But now I'm
she,
inspired. Like I really want to take frame a few songs of mine that I have like real spiritual messaging in particular, and like cut them into little edits for Michael to like for some
nice.
of our little end bits. He likes to do some of my pieces here there, and I'm like, I've got some pieces that in particular, are meant to be these little spiritual mantras, and I would love to be able to end the show on some of them. So maybe next couple of weeks we'll try to get some of these going. But anyway, thank you, Michael. Love you, brother.
Thank you, Lady
and,
McLeatstein.
we will see you next time on the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, peace.